Hey, what's going on, guys? Joe Mann here, scaling with systems. I am here with my fantastic client, Mr. Tomas. Tomas, how are we doing today?
Hey Joe, how you doing? I'm good. I appreciate you. Yeah,
Awesome,
fantastic
dude.
line, huh?
Awesome. Appreciate you popping on. Before we jump into kind of the meat and potatoes of everything, would you mind just kind of telling me who you are, what your company does, who you serve, and really how do you go about generating revenue?
Gotcha. Yeah, so my name is Thomas. I'm from Germany, and our company is called Lead Overload. We help agency owners stack their pipeline with a massive guarantee. So we get 5 to 16 calls in the first 2 weeks, and we serve agency owners who are doing at least 1 million a year. And that's our bread and butter, I would say.
You touched on a crazy guarantee. Can you share with the people what that crazy guarantee is? I don't think you finished it.
Yeah, so the guarantee is, and kudos to you guys, you helped develop that, is that we guarantee 5 to 16 qualified calls in the first 2 weeks, or we follow refund and add 1,000 on top of that for wasting their time.
Very nice. Very nice. So, would you mind kind of telling us a little bit about where you were before jumping into scaling with systems? What have you tried before? What was the biggest challenge you were trying to solve? Would you mind shedding some light there for us?
Yeah, definitely. So we've been existing for 15 months right now. And I think I joined Scaling with Systems 6 months ago. So we were pretty much half a year in. And I almost crashed the company 2 times, means the revenue dropped very, very low. And the biggest challenge was really just the predictable pipeline, which is kind of ironic considering the fact that we were generating leads. But I think the biggest bottleneck was just sales and the offer itself. When we joined, we were at, I think, 15.6K in revenue. And that was a good investment from my perspective, which was uncomfortable. And in this case, we moved really, really fast that we went from 15 to 20 to 30 and then 56. And right now we just crossed 84K in revenue a month.
One more time, you crossed how much in revenue?
84K.
So in 6 months, you went from 15K to 84K.
Yes.
Kudos to you, sir. That is amazing.
Appreciate you.
So in regards to scaling with systems, how did you come about actually finding us? Like, where did you locate us?
Great question. So a friend of mine was in Scaling with Systems, funnily enough, a year ago. That was a company that I worked in as in ops essentially, and I knew that you guys are really, really good, and I knew that I need to change or more or less do something to scale further. I tried everything on my own, but I just wanted to speed run everything. So yeah, I would say pretty much a referral at this point. I would consider a referral.
Okay, awesome. So with that being said, coming from the referral source, what do you think was probably the main reason you joined Scaling with Systems?
To make less stupid decisions, I would say. So yeah, at the end of the day, along the way, I've made a couple of decisions that were, well, questionable, I would say, because I simply did not know what I did not know. So I had a lot of, many blind spots, I would say, and just running those, that decision-making path through you guys was phenomenal. Like that was the biggest, biggest point, I would say, or value prop that I got from this.
Awesome, dude. So let's talk about when you joined in the program, right? We had our onboarding call. We worked together pretty closely, pretty consistently. What was one of the first things you immediately recognized as like, oh, I need to fix this thing like now?
Goddamn onboarding process. Um, I just saw what's possible. So I think I even messaged you that I was like, hey, that was the craziest onboarding process I've ever experienced.
You told me that on the call, actually. Yeah.
Exactly. I mentioned that. And funnily enough, we implemented that right away. And we have our clients say exactly the same to us right now, where the guys are doing millions a year and they're like, we're gonna copy your onboarding process. I'm like, thanks.
Nice, dude. Nice, man. Nice. So let's look at your time in the program as a whole. What would you say for Lead Overload is like the biggest few wins that you've been able to accomplish in the last 6 months?
Gotcha. Very straightforward. One is the offer. So our offer was okay-ish, but I was struggling with sales because I was not able to present the offer properly, and the offer was not as defined as it is right now. That's one. And the second one, I would say hiring A players. So with you guys, we've built crazy hiring funnel. And I would say that was one of the main reasons why we hit the number that we hit this the last month. Those two, like the craziest two.
Awesome, dude. So let's look at everything as a whole, going from point A to point B. What would you say are some of the biggest like before and after moments for you that have just been like, wow, this was one of the best investments I've ever made?
Consistency and deals. So for example, right now we know exactly what the revenue is going to look like this month. Tracking KPIs was one of the biggest ones. In our case, it was over tracking. So we had, I would say, just tracking shit that matters. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to curse here a little bit.
We'll beep you.
And just bleep me, yeah. And another one is definitely my perception on a couple of things. And that's like, one is from the business standpoint, well, like, hey, I'm sure we're gonna have a very consistent revenue coming in. And the second one is just me as leader, that I had to level up, and there were a lot of blind spots that you guys helped just remove and just break the belief patterns that I had previously. And anxiety, for example, for refunds and everything, I would say that was one of the biggest, that you guys helped me overcome that and just have this kind of a crazy guarantee without worrying, because economics makes sense. And yeah, those, I would say, that's the main reason why I would like continue. I'm gonna continue with scaling initiative, like as long as we run this business.
Awesome, dude. Well, we're gonna be very delighted to work with you continually. Now, I guess in that same breath, right, for you to want to continue, what would you say are some of the most, maybe top 3 most valuable aspects of the program, of working with Scaling with Systems, and also working in Scaling Initiative as well?
Oh, okay. So access to you, first of all. If I have something, I know that I can run through you and have a different perspective on this. Means that you guys scaled other businesses multiple times, and I know exactly when I speak to you, you're most likely gonna have had very similar situation. So again, just circles back to not making better decisions. Other component is that you guys help develop assets along the way. So it's not like, oh, just do that and I'm on my own. It's I can run the assets through you guys, get feedback, improve that. And next one is, of course, thinking bigger, right? So because at the beginning, especially, I was so deep into trenches that I had to continuously step out and think about the strategic component, and again, access to you. And of course, the assets in the learning platform. So a lot of times you're just gonna forward me to that. I'm like, oh yeah, that goddamn perfectly answers my question. But the value there is that I don't have to sift through the library to figure out what I need. You basically point me in the right direction in the right moment, which is extremely valuable to save time and then just move way faster. Other component, the last one, is going to be that access to everyone else in the group. So we just had a mastermind weekend, and that was phenomenal. I would say just networking component is very underestimated, I would say, because the weekend was phenomenal. So yeah, those are the ones.
Yeah, man, it was a delight to have you there. That was the Vail, Colorado event for those watching. But last question for you, Tom, for the lovely people watching at home, what would you say to someone who is kind of on the fence considering to work with us?
Okay, I'm not allowed to swear, right? Okay, so
in your most PG rated version.
I would say so. If someone is similar, like I was, at 15K with the investment, we were pretty much broke even on that month. And I would say if you're not willing to make that investment to grow, then have fun. But if you like really have the idea to grow the company, I would just take a look at the case studies that you guys have, if that's like that component, and give it a shot. I know that you have any kind of guarantee, but I did not even look into that at that point because my pain point was big enough. So I think everyone's who's on the edge, if the pain point is big enough, all they have to do is skim through this kind of a video or other videos, And if they're truly interested in growing their company, they're just gonna pull the trigger without overthinking.
Well, we appreciate that, sir. Before we wrap up for today, is there anything else you want to mention potentially about your time in SI or SWS, or even just anything in general?
One component is quite interesting. My observation in a positive way. 6 months ago, I mentioned that I want to be held accountable, and I'm still surprised to this day to how literally you take that job. Means that you drop the message me, I pretty much daily or every next day just to check in and hold accountable on everything that we said we're gonna do. That surprisingly after 6 months, that things that I said 6 months ago haven't been lost anywhere in the process and or on top of your mind to this day. It's goddamn, that's crazy. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to do this. And for those watching, thank you for taking the time to watch. Without further ado, Mr. Thomas, thank you again so much on behalf of Scaling with Systems and Sir Ravi. We look forward to serving you continually, and I will talk to you soon, sir.
Talk to you
Peace.
soon. Appreciate you.